Moving on with safety and OSHA regulations. This stuff's super duper important. And it's actually, we could talk a whole day about safety and log and lumberyard stuff. So what I'm going to do is boil it down to what OSHA says in their header paragraph. Before we get there, hang on. You can go to the OSHA website and it'll have like a searchable index. You want to look up logging or forestry or paper mill or any of these topics, you click on it, it'll take you to like a whole index of information on it, and that'll have more things you can click on. And there's a standard for all sorts of stuff and procedures and some really cool old-timey photos. It is really fun to page through the OSHA website, I think. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you the best I can because it's super important. All right, this is no way a substitute for an OSHA safety class. This is just to make you go take one. Working in a sawmill is one of the most dangerous occupations in the United States. The equipment poses numerous hazards. Massive weights and falling, rolling, and or sliding logs can be very dangerous. Has anyone been chipped by a log? Have you tripped over a log? Maybe it's icy, right? I don't know. I get hurt all the time. The woodworking operations of a sawmill can also be hazardous, particularly when machines are used improperly or without proper safeguards. You ever see someone take the chain blade cover off of a saw, like a table saw or a radial arm saw, or someone, we won't go into that. I won't give you ideas. Woodworking employees often suffer from the following injuries: lacerations. How long does it take to bleed out? Minutes. These are super serious things. Saws will cut you in half, okay? Very serious stuff. Saw blades, without them moving, will still cut you in half if you're not careful and they're properly sharpened. If they're not sharp, they'll rip you apart. They won't cut you. That's even worse. So this is serious stuff. Amputations, we just mentioned that. Severed fingers. You can get crushed and your finger will get chopped off. All sorts of stuff can happen. Slab wood, very, very heavy. You got to be super careful when you move slab wood around. And blindness, because sawdust and stuff goes flying constantly. You should see my glasses. These are safety rated, and I basically can't see through them. I just see images that are blurry. Wood dust, which I'm allergic to, ash and oak, and chemicals used for finishing products, hydrocarbons and stuff in there, may cause skin and respiratory diseases. So it might not get you today, but it'll get you tomorrow. You got to be aware of that. Dust masks or heavy ventilation. Sawmill hazards are even more dangerous when environmental conditions are factored in, such as uneven, unstable, and rough terrain. You'll see where we're sawing this afternoon in the demo. That defines it. It's a parking lot, and it's tripping hazards everywhere. Ankle breakers. You know, if you were to fall and hit one of these little nubs, you could have a puncture wound, or you could crack a bone. Or like my little cousin fell on a rock with his foot, broke all the bones in his foot. Didn't break the skin, he just like sat on it funny. There goes his soccer career. Okay, inclement weather. It's Minnesota. It gets hot and humid. Also gets super cold. Wind picks up, weather changes, thunderstorms, tornadoes, straight line winds can move lumber and fling it around. Lumberyard is one of the worst places you can be in a really serious storm. I'll give you an example. Last August, not this one, but the one before, Kylie and I were out in the yard. Some crazy winds came down, and we're moving plywood sheets across our yard. Turned out a tornado was dropping down over our house and hit the farm north of us. So that was just us casually out there. So you got to be worried about that too, you know. Isolated work sites, say you're sawmilling out in the woods, how fast can someone get there to stop your bleeding or do CPR or get you an AED? It's risky business. You might not think about it. It might just be like, well, we're just going to cut lumber. But if you're working in the woods, you should have a helmet on too, because the broken branches can just fall on you. I've been in this industry for 15 years. I've gone through about 10 helmets. Helmets should be good for 5 years. Stuff falls. I've been knocked out. Glasses, you know, from this tree, not this tree or this situation. So please take that seriously. You can do slips. You can fall down a ravine. You don't let your guard ever go down. That's about it. Okay, next, logging. Okay, basically the same story, right? By many measures, logging is the most dangerous occupation in the US. Okay, the tools and equipment such as chainsaws and logging machines pose hazards wherever they are used. As loggers use their tools and equipment, they deal with massive weights and irresistible momentum of falling, rolling, and sliding logs or trees. This is the same for you if you're in your sawmill yard. Logs can just all of a sudden go. The hazards are more acute when dangerous environmental conditions are factored in, such as uneven, unstable, or rough terrain, which is the definition of working in the woods. Inclement weather, including rain, snow, lightning, winds, and extreme cold at remote isolated work sites, probably also increase the risk, mostly of dying, not necessarily the risk of being hurt. The combination of these hazards make it really dangerous. Okay, anyways. But if you're going to go get logs, you need to be aware of these things. One tree might hit another tree, bam. Stuff, unloading equipment off trailers, if it goes the wrong way, it can crush you too. Chain binder can break. Everything's dangerous. I thought this was the best one though. So imagine you're just someone buying and selling lumber, right? This is the type of OSHA regulation for you as a material dealer. The lumber and building material dealer industry provides goods and services to home building and professional contractors. General safety and health issues exist in the industry, including record keeping. That's right, they listed that first. Why is record keeping on that list? It's super, sorry, paper cuts? Yeah. What's all digital now? Electrical shock hazard? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because it's super stressful and you'll be focused on that when you should be focused on this. I don't know. Ergonomic stresses, lifting and setting down heavy items over and over again. If you do it improperly, you're not going to do it very long. Industrial trucks like forklifts, actually super dangerous because the loads could be unstable as you're moving them around. And, machine guarding. Sometimes the machine guard comes loose and hits the moving part and goes flying. Anyway, the moral of the story here is that everything involving wood, for the most part, is dangerous. And it really doesn't take long to think about what could actually go wrong and stop it before it even starts. So I do this thing. I wasn't going to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. I do a morning safety brief while I'm having my morning time to myself. And so I think about what could go wrong today. What went wrong yesterday? What am I worried about? Who am I working with? What am I working with? What site are we at? We do a lot of work in parks. Citizens love to walk underneath us when we're working. It's almost all day, every day. And so I'm more worried about crushing somebody than myself. We had an example the other year where we were doing some really scary work and this old couple walked right underneath us. We had danger tape. The whole place was locked off and they walked right underneath this thing. And in the middle of all that, I saw this happening and so did somebody else. And we both basically ran into each other with skid loaders. And we would have got killed, trying to avoid these people walking through our site. So when I think what could go wrong, that's mostly what I'm thinking about, but if you're going to get crushed or maybe you stacked that lumber yesterday, but it wasn't super stable, well, you got to worry about that thing crushing you, don't you? Wind changes, blows the pile over. So anywho, I call it a toilet think or whatever. You just take that 5 minutes a day or whatever, think about what could go wrong. You could save lives very seriously. So anywho, personal protective equipment. If you're working with anything overhead, you need a hard hat. Most sites that are industrial require a hard hat regardless of what you're doing. So have a nice one that's comfortable. Safety glasses, because stuff will hit you in the face. Hearing protection, yeah, dust mask, yep, gloves, safety toe. Heavy slabs will crush your toes. That's not fun. So safety toes are handy. If you work around electrical stuff, you might want the non-conductive safety toe. Weather protection, extreme heat, extreme cold. Be ready for that. And though I will work in the middle of January, get sweating, take my coats off and everything. I'll be out in a t-shirt and shorts. And then the wind will pick up and I'll have my sandwich and I'll basically freeze. And so I need to go back inside and put on a parka or have a parka handy. Or some people don't notice they're getting cold and they start getting weird. So you need to be aware of everyone else's environmental conditions too. And then most work sites require your first aid certification, CPR AED. That's all super handy. And you don't need Band-Aids with chainsaws, you need tourniquets. So make sure you have tourniquets handy. What if you cut both legs? you need 2 tourniquets. So have a couple. You shouldn't cut any corners here with safety. Oh, 2 people have to have CPR on the same job site, at least 2. Don't forget that. If you're working alone, I keep my phone up here to say I'm moving logs around or something. That way I can say like, hey phone, call 911. And so I can talk to the whoever, the phone person, and while keeping pressure on a wound. Or hey, I flipped this equipment over on myself. I'm crushed in the backyard. Can you come get me? So you want your location services on your phone too when you're doing that. Okay, moving on to safety stuff too. Sharp saws are way safer than dull saw. Dull saws, you're pushing and pulling, and they don't cut, they tear. And so if you get cut, you want to be cut by a sharp saw. Also, you have more control with a sharp saw. Cant hook, if a log rolls over on somebody, you need a way to get it off. And you'll see cant hooks outside. That gives you an incredible amount of lever force to move logs off somebody. Wedges and a hammer, same problem. Somebody gets crushed under something, you could use wedges to lift it off. Your charged cell phone is probably a must, 100% there. And then a blanket. People go into shock. It doesn't really matter what the wound is, but the blanket really helps comfort shock. And duct tape. I think you all can imagine why duct tape's handy.